A lot of y'all young ladies want to be sugar babies nowadays, and the popularity of sugar babies ain't nothing new. This been a thing since before myself and all of y'all watching were even thought of. But man, these chicks that be trying to be sugar babies nowadays fail miserably. I mean, they be fumbling the bag like they fingers got olive oil on them. So we gonna get into it, man. But first, wipe your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain. Let's go.
But you want all this pimping you can't afford. Perform like a punk but wanna win his reward. Them suckers give you points but bitch you never scored. If you ain't paying pimping then bitch you getting ignored. Okay, I'm so sick of these.
Man, so many different ways these chicks be fumbling that bag when it comes to being sugar babies. I feel like Tony Braxton, let me count the ways. And you know, I'm gonna say it now and then I'm gonna reiterate it throughout this video. But the fact of the matter is, the reason why, the bottom line, underlying foundational reason why these chicks fumble the bag with sugar daddies is because they think so small. They think and be microscopic, like you need a magnifying glass to see their thoughts. Like if they thoughts were like on display, it wouldn't be nothing big. It'd be something that you would need a telescope to see, right? And you know, this is something that happens in the game with wannabe 304s often, right? They'll meet a trick and this trick will, you know, proposition them to be a sugar daddy to them. And a lot of times these situations turn into a thing where, you know, periodically, oftentimes once a month or sometimes twice a month or once every other month, but every so often, this chick will link up with this sugar daddy and the sugar daddy will compensate them a lump sum that's usually more than what the chick makes on a daily basis. And, you know, it becomes a regular thing. And where I've seen chicks fail so often is they'll allow the trick to control them or the sugar daddy to control them in these types of situations, right? And, you know, one thing that always happens when they don't have any instructions, when they not being led by no ism, right? They will get comfortable with these sugar daddies. And you'll have a chick who gets down every day and makes good money every day. She might make $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a day, but she come across this trick that's willing to be her sugar daddy and give her enough money to pay her bills every month, and she'll act like she hit the jackpot. She'll act like she, you know, hit $4 million on Wheel of Fortune, or she hit the lottery or something like that, and she will kick her feet up and rely solely upon this trick and stop getting down every day, stop getting money every day. Now, I know some of y'all ladies is probably watching like, shit, I wouldn't do that. If I had a sugar daddy giving me $20,000, $30,000 once a month for a day or two, I'd still be getting down every day. Knock it off. That's what they all say. But a lot of chicks don't have that go hard don't have that fire and that desire to get it and get it big. A lot of chicks are just lazy and they looking for an easy way out. Any type of easy way out they can find, they gonna go towards it. They gonna run head first into it, right? So this is what a lot of chicks do. They get comfortable with these guys, right? So now you got this chick, like I said, she see the trick every once in a while. Whenever she see him, he might give her 15, 20,000, sometimes 30, 40,000, even more upwards, right? And she'll stop getting down every day. But what she doesn't understand and what she doesn't consider are some key factors. One, most of these sugar daddies are married, which means they can't be fully dedicated to you. This is why they only see you maybe once a month or once every other month, or at the most twice a month, because they have a whole life to live with their wife. So, and you should appreciate that. You should be glad about that. You should be glad that this sugar daddy isn't so demanding that, he's trying to, occupy a whole lot of your time. No, he occupies a day or two out of your time, gives you, a 5-figure sum, and then, go on about his business, and does this on a regular basis, right? But, chicks get comfortable. And one thing that always happens with, whether it's a regular that a chick sees, 2 or 3 times a week or every day, or, one of these sugar daddy type situations, the trick starts to feel entitled. The sugar daddy starts to feel entitled, right? And it's like the dude Myron on Players Club when he followed Diamond home, and he was like, I spent a lot of money on you. This is how these dudes be, right? They've invested so much money into this chick, and a lot of chicks don't know how to keep the situation in check and keep it under control and not let it get out of hand. Most chicks let it get out of hand and give in to a trick's demands. And, when they get comfortable and the trick gets them where they want them, and they let the trick know all their business, they let the trick know that they ain't working every day no more, and they dependent solely upon this trick, right? Once the trick understands that he got her right where he wants her, he'll start to implement his exit strategy, if you will, right? Because all of these sugar daddies are eventually going to have an exit strategy, because that's one of the benefits, one of the perks, one of the incentives for being a trick. Variety, right? No trick is, endeavoring to be a trick to dedicate himself to one woman for the rest of his days of tricking. He's not going to settle up and retire with one woman and trick on this one woman forever. It's not going to happen, especially if he got a wife, right? Now, he might come across certain chicks that he really takes a liking to and gets, accustomed to, but every trick is going to eventually want some variety, right? So a lot of times these tricks, what they do is play the chick out of position. And once they play her out of position and get her where they want them, they'll start to implement the exit strategy. What is the exit strategy? Well, if he started out giving her $30,000 a month every time he's seen her, it'll go down to $20,000 a month. And the chicks don't even take heed to the red flags. Man, I've seen this movie play out so many times. I'm not talking about no hypothetical shit. I'm telling you stuff that I've seen and know about firsthand, right? Being in this game. The trick will go, or the sugar daddy will go from 30,000 to 20,000. She don't see no need for alarm. She don't get nervous. She don't start to, do any damage control. She ain't doing nothing. She's still comfortable, because that 20,000 might still be enough to take care of her bills. In most cases it is, right? The 20,000 to turn into 10,000. 10,000 to turn into 5,000. When it get down to 5,000, he gonna tell her to get a job. I can't make this shit up, man. This shit has happened so many times, right? He'll tell her to get a job, and she'll go get a job. Here you have a chick that was getting down every day, making bands every day, and she comes across this sugar daddy who is willing to give her probably what she was making on a daily basis for a month's period. Instead of her being smart and getting down every day still, and pretty much making double the money that she normally would make, combined with the daily efforts in the sugar daddy, No, she kicked her feet up. She didn't hit the jackpot, right? And then it goes from that to, once the trick is ready to implement his exit strategy, he dwindles it down and then suggests that she get a job. And just so that she can keep getting that little 5,000 that it done dwindled down to, she'll go get the dead end job, right? And then once she gets the dead end job and the trick feel like he done his due diligence and at least he ain't leaving her all the way messed up because he convinced her to get a job and she did it. Now all of a sudden his wife done found out about her. So he got to cut everything off. He can't give her nothing now, right? Now, the wife finding out is one excuse of many excuses. But these guys, they come up with a whole lot of different excuses, right? And understandably so. You know, I don't want you to misunderstand this as me, putting emphasis on anything that the trick is doing or that the sugar daddy is doing. No, the sugar daddy is doing what he's supposed to do and what he want to do, right? He ain't doing nothing wrong. Who's doing something wrong is the sugar baby or the 304, right? Doing something wrong by getting too comfortable for one, and then two, letting this trick play her all the way out of position. I done seen chicks who was daily 304s meet a sugar daddy, and then throughout the course of dealing with that sugar daddy, he play her all the way out of position to where he's done with her, and now she done went to working a dead end job, ain't making nearly the money that she was making as a daily 304, and then she ended up having to downsize, because that's another thing that a lot of chicks do too. They upgrade their lifestyle when they get one of these sugar daddies that's breaking them off like that. They upgrade their lifestyle and build their life around one individual, right? And they don't think about the end of it. They don't think about, okay, what about when this comes to an end? What am I going to do? How am I going to be prepared for it? How am I going to transition? They don't think about that, right? Because again, like I said, they think so small. You need a magnifying glass. You got to be like Sherlock Holmes and investigate with a magnifying glass to see how small their thoughts are. They think entirely too small, right? I remember another situation, right? This chick that was on my line acting like she wanted to choose. And she was just a very naive chick. You know, she had never had no ism in her life, but you know, she was dabbling in the game and she was interested in some ism. And when she came to me and got on my line, she had this situation with this regular, or I guess you could call him a sugar daddy or whatever the case may be. But, you know, similar situation. This guy, you know, wasn't a very wealthy guy, but, you know, he wasn't giving her no tens of thousands every time. But, you know, he was giving her, you know, 2,000 or 3,000 whenever they saw each other. And it was, you know, pretty regularly. And, you know, this guy, I believe he owned a business. I believe he was a business owner. He made pretty good money. He wasn't like wealthy, but you know, he made pretty good, like above average money. And he had gotten a settlement. I believe it was for like $1 million. Like after it was said and done, he paid whatever fees he had to pay. He ended up with $1 million. And he wanted the chick to marry him, right? This 304. He was an older guy. So I don't know, maybe he was just cool like that with her. They had been dealing with each other, I think, for a couple years or something like that. And he wanted her to marry him. And the chick really wanted to do it. And, you know, I never stayed in contact with her because when she let me know that she was so dead set on marrying him and wasn't trying to hear anything that I was saying, I pretty much fell back. You know, I did the Fat Joe and leaned back on her ass, right? But from the way it was sounding, I'm pretty sure that she ended up marrying this trick. But when I asked her, I said, why would you do that? She said, to be closer to the money. How much closer to the money you gonna get by marrying him? I just didn't understand it. And she didn't have a plan. Of course, that's part of the reason why she was on my line, because she knows that I'm a man with a plan. But she had plans to marry this guy, but the plans didn't go any further than the marriage. She's just thinking that this marriage is going to get her closer to the money. She's not thinking about how it's going to get her closer to the money. She's not thinking about how it's going to, affect her as a woman. And, whatever she got going on, she wasn't thinking about none of that. And I'm pretty sure that she ended up marrying this dude and didn't go nearly the way she thought it was going to go or wanted it to go. And you married a trick for a low lump sum. And, it's not like he was just going to give her the $1 million for marrying him. No. He probably was still going to give you the same little money that he been giving you, which is decent money from one individual at a time when you see him. But he's not finna give you this $1 million for marrying him. Right? And, like I say all the time, I'm pretty sure that if she did marry him, this was years ago, pretty sure that if she did marry him, eventually, when he got tired of her, they got a divorce and he kicked her to the curb, and she done, rearranged her whole life for this trick who's going to be a trick, and at some point is going to want some variety. And when he get tired of waking up to cornflakes every day, he going to throw that cornflakes in the trash, and he going to go get him some Cinnamon Toast Crunch, some honey bunches of oats, and a whole lot of other varieties of flavors. You dig? So yeah, a lot of chicks make this mistake. I've seen so many chicks, just get comfortable with a sugar daddy and not look at it as an opportunity to create some bigger and better leverage for themselves, right? And this is all the reason more why a chick really needs some ism in their life. But, these types of chicks usually don't have ism in their life because, again, they don't think big. And in order to have some ism in your life, you got to be thinking big. You can't be a small thinking bitch and expect to get some big old pimping in your life. It's not gonna happen. You dig? So yeah, man, the bottom line, a lot of chicks just get too comfortable with these sugar daddies and regulars, or whatever you want to call them, and they let them play them out of position. And the crazy thing is, it's a chick that's gonna watch this video and she's gonna do all of the shit that I just said not to do, and it's gonna play out exactly the way that I just described it, because that's how lazy chicks are. And then a lot of chicks be thinking that they're gonna be the exception to the rule or something like that, but they're gonna be a fool regardless, because in spite of what I say, their emotions are gonna dictate whatever they do. And they may not, this video may not provoke the right type of emotions in a woman, but that sugar daddy that's offering that money, that's going to provoke the right kind of emotions in a woman for her to let him play her all the way out of position, then implement the exit strategy and leave her high and dry, messed up. You dig? In some cases with kids, just depending on her. I done seen chicks do that. Build their whole life around one trick. Build their life to the point where they start having kids, and next thing you know, when she first met the trick, she only had one kid or no kids, and throughout her years of dealing with the trick, now she got 3 kids that she done had with some square boyfriend over here, and none with the trick. But the trick is seeing all of this. How you think that's gonna play out? It's just, but all of that is the results of thinking too small, right? So as a famous viral meme once said, you got to be thinking big, bitch. You got to be thinking big. Yeah, man, but let that marinate on your mind one time, freezes it. Go ahead, put some of this good old love in your body like so. And of course, as always, long live the incomparable Sinful to P. We out. Dig this. I've been stroking relentless to get waves like this. I spoke into existence for her to pay like this. In the trenches on a day like this, traffic consistent, and so I have to insist that she relay my chips. It's a trap with her name on it and my game on it. Any forces coming against this game, shame on it. Standing on my pimpin' from day one and remain on it. It carried me through every terrain and I gained on it. Experience joy and pain on it, sustained on it.
But getting back to this game that I never left.
Baby, yeah, where you been?